Well, good afternoon, community. This is your brother from another mother, Mark Scott. Welcome to another episode of Both Sides of the Conversation. And it is Sunday, April 14th, 2024. So you know what that means. We've got another episode of our Sunday conversation. And this Sunday conversation, we're talking about family health and wellness. And we do have a robust panel that is going to be joining us this afternoon. But before we get to our panelists and the conversation, of course, we're committed to making sure that you get all the news and the events. Also, want to, on behalf of the Bishop, John Henry, who is out in the community, thank you for tuning in. And also want to send our support and prayers out to Sister Aya, who is the queen of the platform, who's also out serving in the community. So as we get started, because I do want to get to this conversation, let's talk about some of the local news that is going on in the Bay Area. Our first headline as we get started is going to read, San Francisco jails are under lockdown amid attacks on deputies. Calls made for the National Guard are requested to come in. So San Francisco County jails 2 and 3 were placed under lockdown after multiple deputies and staff were assaulted by inmates. The San Francisco Deputy Sheriff's Association has requested the deployment of the California National Guard due to severe staffing shortages and rising violence within the jails. This year has seen a significant increase in inmate assaults and fights, prompting urgent calls for intervention to safeguard both the staff's and inmates' safety. Normal operations are expected to resume next week. Also, in local headlines, San Francisco is getting back to in-person work. Just ask the companies. San Francisco is seeing a shift back to in-person work, leading the U.S. in the increase of office visits year over year with a 10.8% growth. Despite this, office visits are still only about half of pre-pandemic levels, with ongoing high vacancy rates. The city presents a buyer's market for office spaces, particularly appealing to companies thriving from the AI boom and robust sales, as seen with firms like Aiden and Rippling securing large leases recently. Also, in other local headlines, a shooting on San Francisco's 6th Street injures one. An early morning shooting in San Francisco's south of Market area on 6th and Jesse Streets injured one person at 4:48 a.m. on Saturday. The victim, who sustained life-threatening injuries from a gunshot wound, was hospitalized. This incident marks the second shooting in this neighborhood within a month, following a fatal event at Halliday's Plaza on March 29th. San Francisco police are seeking information and urge anyone with details to contact their tip line. And in more headlines in the national news, the family ID's 9-year-old girl killed in a back of the yards shooting. 3 children among 10 others were shot. In Chicago's back of the yards neighborhood, a tragic shooting at a family gathering on Saturday night resulted in the death of a 9-year-old girl and injured up to 10 others, including 3 children aged 1, 8, and 9. The incident occurred around 9:18 p.m. near 52nd Street and South Damon Avenue. Witnesses reported a black sedan from which the shots were fired. The community and officials expressed deep concern over this senseless violence, emphasizing the urgent need for safety and preventative measures. And I'll tell you, community, it is challenging. Sometimes reading all these headlines, there's so much going on. I just want to encourage everybody to check on your neighbors, check on your family members, check on your coworkers, because you never know what people are going through. And we have to be able to take care of each other so we can help curb this violence, because it is senseless. We need each other, and there's no sense for this type of violence to be ongoing continually. But as we shift to more encouraging information, let's go ahead and get to the community events. There's a lot going on around the Bay Area, and we definitely want to make sure you know what's going on. So bear with me as we get into the community events. Our first event is Connect at Rafiki Coalition's Youth Empowerment Circles. They're for ages 14 to 18 on Wednesdays from March 27th through May 22nd from 6 to 7 p.m. There will be workshops, dinner provided, and support. Email the link below to get more information on how to join. And swing by grooving to the oldies with Miss Jackson every Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. on March 11th, 18th, and the 25th. Some Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m. at Rafiki. COVID safe. Email for more details in the link below. And explore Sankofa Days at the Bay during San Francisco's Climate Week 2024 from April 21st through the 27th, where you can dive into history to understand your future. Free admission is available. For more information, visit the link below. And apply for the Bayview Legacy Foundation scholarships and stipends are available. Apply from March 15th through April the 29th. Details are at the link below. And mark your calendar for Hip Hop TV's first annual Fashion and Art Gala 2024 honoring Chantel Herden on May 11th from 8 to 11 p.m. All proceeds will benefit Chantel's children. More details and information are available. And join us at the CCSF Ocean Campus for the Connect 2024 Open House and Resource Fair on April 27th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come out, explore, engage, and get empowered. And are you a high school graduating senior? Will apply for the BSOTC $2,500 Community Engagement Scholarship. That's right. Both sides of the conversation is giving away a $2,500 scholarship for community engagement. The deadline to apply is April 30th. Visit the link below for more details. And gain financial aid with Tzu Chi USA Scholars for high school grads and undergrads. Scholarships are selected on the basis of their financial need, academic achievement, and community involvement. Applications will close on April 30th. Apply at the link below. And join the Neighborhood Emergency Response Team for full training on March 26th through May 1st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the San Francisco Fire Department's Division of Training. To get your tickets, go to Eventbrite. See the details below. And become a voice for San Francisco youth. Apply to be a youth commissioner, open to residents ages 12 to 23 that are passionate about youth needs and community change. Apply by May 10th to be part of shaping a progressive future. See the link below for more details. And California artists, you can apply for the 2024 State Arts Grants. Opportunities are open until June the 6th. To get more details on these opportunities, see the link below. And join the Black Bike Project. Empower youth with skills and rides for ages 11 to 14 from April 11th through June 6th from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. at 601 Cesar Chavez. Info is at the link below on the screen, and you also will get to keep the bike after the program is complete. And join Rhodesia Jones for Life on the Swerve workshops on self-love and transformation on Saturdays from March 16th through June 14th. They're from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Ruth Williams Opera House. So for more details and how to register, see the information below. And Opportunities for All offers career exploration and workforce development for San Francisco youth and young adults ages 13 to 24, living or studying in San Francisco. For more details on how to apply, visit the link below. And the 2024 Summer Opportunities programs and camps for kids kindergarten through 8th. There are over 160 options for learning, engagement, safety, and health. Get ready for the fall school year to start. Click below on the link for more details. And the Dreamkeeper Initiative's Kids Summer Camp at Prince Hall Computer Learning Center for grades K through 8. There's free admission. It's from June 10th through August the 2nd. For more details and information, see the phone number below. And DCYF Youth Opportunities for ages 14 to 24, where you can explore opportunities for the youth portal for summer jobs, internships, and more. They're for ages 14 to 17. Also can watch out for paid summer job openings coming in March. And the SOA City is Mine Tech and Sports Camp from April 2nd through November the 26th at various times and locations from ages 7 to 16. For more information, see the link below. And APR is hiring a Community Innovation Lab site manager. For details on how to apply, see the link below. And Kids in the City presents Hair 101 Workshop, Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Chase Center. Youth ages 7 to 17 can come out, learn about unique hair. The supplies will be provided. For registration, information is below. And join the SECC at Hungry Cafe from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for co-working, eatery, and social space at the Southeast Community Center. And SFOEWD and the Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center offer business support services for small business entrepreneurs in Bayview and Fillmore. For more information, see the phone number and the link below. And Minding Our Black-Owned Business initiative by BWOPA Tile honors Black women entrepreneurs. To nominate a favorite Black woman-owned business, see the link below. And the University of San Francisco's new Community Counseling and Wellness Center provides 12 weeks of free therapy for SF residents over 18 that are facing barriers to care. To get more information, see the email link below. And Dreamkeeper Initiative's Senior Home Repair Program offers up to $50,000 forgivable loan to low to moderate income seniors and or disabled homeowners in distressed San Francisco neighborhoods. For more information on these programs, see the link below. And the SF Human Rights Commission holds regular bi-monthly meetings on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in San Francisco City Hall Room 416. You can attend in person or via Zoom. And Fathers to Founders child support clinics are every Tuesday and Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 232 6th Street in San Francisco. You can get guidance on child support debt, license hold, custody, and visitation rights. For more information, call the phone number below to get an appointment. And Dreamkeeper Initiative's Down Payment Assistance Loan Program offers up to $500,000 for down payment assistance and up to $30,000 for closing costs. Connect with housing counselors, lenders, and realtors. To get more information, see the link below. And Walters Wellness Group hosts Sip, Paint, and Center every 1st, 3rd, and 5th Friday. Come out, unwind, and set the tone for your weekend. Fueled by tea, creativity, and grounding. Hosted by Dr. Kathia Walters and team. For more information, see the link below. And also join Fathers to Founders for Fatherhood Reimagined Therapy Group every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Food is provided. For more information and to RSVP, see the number below. And APRI hosts youth workshops where you can get job referrals, resume building, skill building, and internships. Come out networking, and with the community, you can get service hours as well. For more information, see the number below for more details. And Fillmore's Friday Night Market every Friday from 4 to 9 p.m. on O'Farrell Street between Fillmore and Steiner. Come out for live music, food, vendors, dominoes, and prizes and fun. Vendor booths are still available. For more information, see the link below. And the ongoing vaccination site offers the COVID-19 boosters and the monkeypox antiviral pill treatments. For more information, see times and locations below. And the Community Living Room offers free breakfast and a grab-and-go lunch Monday through Friday at the City of Hope Cafe. For more details, see the links below. And the San Francisco Office of Financial Empowerment offers free, confidential, one-on-one smart money coaching. For financial guidance in English or in Spanish, it's available to anyone who's living or working in San Francisco. For more details, see the phone number and the link below. And be a mentor in SFUSD's Mentoring for Success program. Sign up to volunteer as an individual or group mentor district-wide. Come out and make an impact. For more details or to sign up, see the link below. And would you like to promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact? Then sign up for our Hidden Gems show, or come share your expertise on an Educational Thursday, or be a panelist on a Sunday conversation. And you can also keep up with both sides of the conversation's latest shows and community outreach events. Follow us on all social media platforms, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter at bsotc.org. And both sides of the conversation welcomes volunteers to join our mission to uplift and support the community. Make a positive impact. Become a volunteer today. You can email us at hr@bsotc.org. And also, both sides of the conversation invites your support for our podcast and community engagement. Please explore our donation links, where your generous contributions will greatly aid us in enhancing our programming. And we would also like to take this time to acknowledge the Dreamkeeper Initiative and all of its support for both sides of the conversation's programming and San Francisco's diverse Black communities. To learn more about the Dreamkeeper initiatives, see the link below. And also, don't forget to tune in to our upcoming shows. We have Hidden Gems on Tuesday, April 16th, and also on the 18th, our Educational Thursday, where we have some amazing guests that will be speaking about providing marginalized and disenfranchised youth access to sports. And next week's Sunday conversation on understanding and managing stress, which I think all of us can use a little help with from time to time. Well, with that being said, I've got through all the news and the events. Community, thank you for your patience. And now, as I go into introducing the topic, we're going to talk about health here. Now, this, of course, is our special Minority Health Month, where we're discussing and focusing on family health and wellness. This month, we're discussing crucial aspects of maintaining and improving health within families, especially in our minority communities. So we're going to explore strategies for fostering a healthier lifestyle, addressing common health disparities, and the importance of community and familial support in promoting overall wellness. So join us as we uncover actionable insights and share some stories that inspire better health practices for all family members. And just to kind of give a little bit more context to this conversation before we bring up our panelists, some of the statistics to kind of help set the stage. First statistic is African Americans are 40% more likely to have high blood pressure and less likely to have it under control compared to their white counterparts. Also, Hispanic and Latino children have a 50% higher obesity rate than non-Hispanic white children. And also, Black Americans are 20% more likely to experience serious mental health problems than the general population. And also, diabetes rates are nearly double in Hispanic, Latino, and African American adults compared to white adults. And our final statistic before we bring up our panelists is asthma prevalence is significantly higher among Black children, rating at 13.4% compared to a 7.4% in non-Hispanic white children. So with all of these stats and with the opening, let's go ahead and start bringing up our panelists so we can get the conversation started. Our first panelist, Mr. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Oh, definitely glad to have you. And we'll go ahead and get up our next panelist, Brother Andre. Glad to have you back. How are you doing this afternoon, brother?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much.
Fantastic, fantastic. And next, but definitely not least, Miss Ophelia, how are you doing this afternoon, sis?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on the show.
Glad to have you, Queen. Thank you for joining us. And next we have Miss Dorothea. How are you doing this afternoon, Queen?
Hi, I'm doing good, and thank you for introducing me, and I'm excited to be here today.
Well, we are definitely glad to have you. And let's also get up, last but not least, Brother Troy. How are you doing, brother?
I'm grateful to be alive today. Good afternoon.
I know that's right. That is definitely a start. My dad used to say, it's good that you're on top of the dirt and the dirt's not on top of you. So,
hey, 6 feet above the ground is a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for joining us. As you can see, we have a very, very important topic. We're going to talk about health and wellness. I'm going to go ahead and turn this conversation over. Brother Andre, since this is definitely not your first time here, I want you to kind of open up, kind of give an introduction to the group. Give us a little bit of insight about what your guys are working on, what you have going on, and how the community can get connected.
Well, thank you very much. Again, appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm going to try not to spend a whole lot of time because I know those who watch probably seen me enough. And I think that we have a very, as I'm going to use your word, robust panel that can really add to some richness to this topic. With all those statistics that you read, one thing that's common is that minorities and African Americans especially are at the top of all of those health disparities and what I would call a health crisis. And when we talk about health and wellness, that captures a lot from our physical, our nutritional, our emotional, our spiritual, all of those things are affected. And when they are not in tune and when there are some lapses, one thing affects another thing. I mean, it all plays together. We have to have a holistic approach when we look at impacting all of those things that goes on within the African American community. One such initiative that have come about is known as the Health Access Point. Now, one of the things that's interesting enough that is overlooked a lot of times when we look at health is sexual health. And now on the rise, this term called harm reduction, which is coming up a lot. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I don't want to downplay any of those other statistics or any of those other things that's happening. But I think we really have to sometimes step back and enlarge that circle, because we're used to hearing things about diabetes. We're used to hearing things about high blood pressure, whether people or not take action on it. But those are things that we hear all the time. And what we don't hear is the effects of an unhealthy sexual wellness or wellness habits. around getting testing, around how if something is not wrong, not being shamed about when something is wrong and going to get things, going to get tested, going to take medications and fitting into things and categories that seems to be harmful or things that makes us not want to be upfront with. And that affects ourselves, number one, our partners, and then those loved ones that we have in our greatest, in our greater sphere of influence. So, and again, there are a lot of factors in that. So with the Department of Public Health and several other agencies have come together to work on an initiative to try to impact all of those negative statistics, to bring those things down to zero or close to zero, and put a lot of resources into doing that. And that's what brings us all together in this effort. And again, it's a wide net, so to speak. And so there are agency, and again, we realize that there are things in terms of barriers and other services that need to be in place so that people will be able to access these things, because it's about information, it's about resources, and it's about support. And so one of the things that we want to make sure that we promote is that these things that are affecting us are things that we can impact from a holistic point of view. As you're going to find out that from some of the services that are given or that are available would allow people, again, to allow us to help eliminate the excuses so that those things can be impacted and people could have the best possible opportunity to engage with services that are out there.
I'm glad you said that, brother, because you talked about eliminating excuses. And again, this is, I think, part of our cultural values and some of the things that we've started to embrace traditionally in our communities has not served us very well. We seem to have a very reckless attitude when it comes to sexual health in general in our community. It's good to see that on the organizational side that different organizations are starting to collaborate and work together. Can you kind of talk about some of these initiatives and how the different approaches and strategies are starting to come together?
Well, one of the approaches or initiative is called the Health Access Point. And it's a partnership with, and it's in different communities. We are the African American Health Access Point, known as AMOJA, HAP. And we have come together to address that need within the African American community. They have HAPs set up for different communities and in partnership so that they can address specific communities that have specific needs. And so within a nutshell, this initiative is about bringing organizations that are very good at their own thing and coming together so that they can address, again, all of those different needs, so that eliminating the excuses, eliminating the barriers, and at the same time, dealing with the issue in a holistic point of view. Because if I'm hungry, or if I don't have a job, if I can't keep my lights on, I'm not necessarily worried about protecting myself. I'm not necessarily worried about taking medications. I'm worried about just my day-to-day needs. So we want to try to address those things, again, from a holistic point of view. What I want to do at this time is give some of our other partners who are on the panel a chance to talk a little bit about their experience, about what they do, what they bring to the table, and what they see from this effort or whatnot. Rafiki, which is the lead agency in this cohort, kind of just sits and we provide the mental health services. And as you'll find out, other organizations provide their piece to a very complex puzzle.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll start with the ladies first. Miss Ophelia, can you give a more robust introduction of who you are and what you bring to the table when it comes to this topic?
Sure. I serve an organization. Again, my name is Ophelia, and I serve an organization called Heart and Soul. And we are a peer-based mental health support and services organization. So we're an organization of individuals with lived experiences with mental health or co-occurring substance use challenges, all on our recovery journey. And what we see as really critical to what we call the mental health movement is this lack of wanting to seek services, because often services are not culturally appropriate. And so there is a challenge finding the resources that you can really relate to, tap into. There's an issue of trust and transparency when it comes to diagnosis and what we may need to treat our mental health. We've learned that trauma is a feeder to mental health challenges, untreated trauma specifically. So we do not pretend to be therapists. However, we do believe in the power of peer-to-peer support and meeting individuals wherever they are at in their recovery journey, so that they know on this journey they are not alone, and that getting access to culturally appropriate services are exactly what they need, and there is no shame. We also work to really reduce the stigma around seeking mental health services and support, because often people don't want anyone to know that they need help or that they are struggling with a traumatic incident that could have occurred 40 years ago, 30 years ago. They're embarrassed. They don't want to seek services, but they also don't want to face what is going on, because sometimes when you bring to surface those things you've buried for so long, you have to go through a healing process. And often in this society, people are not patient enough for you to go through the healing process for however long that may take. And so some of the services we offer at Heart and Soul are not time sensitive. Often when you seek professional help, everything is timed. Everything has an expiration. You may get an hour, you may get 6 weeks, but we all know trauma is not treated in increments, right? And so we are privileged at our organization to offer a community that is, from now on, as long as we can continue to raise the funds to keep our doors open. We are a community that individuals who identify with serious mental illnesses, we don't use the term illness in our community, but it is still the widely used term. We call it mental health challenges. Again, our co-occurring substance use challenges. We do create a space for individuals to sit in community, heal in community, do different types of creative therapy, such as art, Zentangos. We do bingo. We also offer a evidence-based practice called Wellness, Recovery, and Action Planning, WRAP. We offer this large part of our icebreakers to make sure people walk away from our experiences with some tools to really, for themselves, become empowered with the ability to treat some of the issues that may surface, and again, know how to seek help.
Wow. It sounds like that is really, really needed. And yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I think you mentioned is the time aspect, because our society is so transactionally driven. A lot of times people fall through the cracks of the system because the system doesn't make that kind of space. So that is definitely powerful what you guys are doing and offering. Next, Miss Dorothea.
Hello, hello. My name is Dorothea Tolliver. I am a vocational counselor at PRC. What I do basically, I help a lot of clients with HIV, to substance abuse, mental health, illness. So what I do is I try to help them, to guide them, to find them a job. Regardless to, a lot of them come in don't even know what they want to do, what kind of career they want to do in their life. So that's where I come in and try to do a little survey, trying to find out what they want to do. So I just try to guide them, see what they're interested in their jobs, and try to find which job are matched to their goals in their lives. So that's what I really do to help them, just to be there, to help them with the resume, the cover letters, as far as their job interview skills as well. So that's basically what I do in my job as vocational counselor at PRC.
Wow, that is definitely needed, because looking for a job is a job, and if you're dealing with other issues in and of itself, yeah, finding that support and that help to navigate that is definitely needed. So thank you definitely for what you're doing. All right, next, Brother Troy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today, and I'm so happy to be amongst this esteemed panel of folks. And I can really appreciate everything that everyone has said so far. I love what you're doing over there, Miss Ophelia. And I just wanted to just kind of throw in there, like it was brought up before, that like for me, I think, especially in regards to, okay, so I'm Troy Boyd, and I'm a supervising employment specialist at PRC. Let's start there. But I just wanted to say that like the whole like stigma aspect is so important, especially like in the Black African American community, in regards to sexual health, because to be able to take the stigma off of that, and to be able to take the shame off of that, and to be able to have honest and open conversations about, what we do, what we like, and taking the stigma out of like, if something comes up, seeking help, being able to, admit that you need the help. It's like something that I feel like is really needed in our community, and to be able to like, talk to each other. And when you go to some of these spaces where you're seeking treatment, to have somebody there that looks like you, that can relate to your everyday, needs. And so I just wanted to just like point that out, that like that is really, really important, because you really can't even begin to treat anything that's going on with you until you can just like admit that it's happening, be able to have an open and honest conversation about it, and not feel any type of way about it, so you can be able to relay what your needs are and to be able to get the proper treatment for that.
Absolutely, Brother Troy. Thank you again for your contribution, because yeah, a lot of people do struggle with the stigma aspect, and our egos, our prides. We're expected, especially, in our society, everybody's at a certain age expect to have it all together. And when we struggle, it's hard for us to ask for help. So absolutely, everything that you said is right on point. Now, of course, we can't forget about Brother Joe. Come on, jump in here, Joe. Talk to us a little bit. Share what are some of your insights? How are you approaching this conversation?
Hi, everyone. Joe Ramirez Forcier with Workforce Development at PRC. I'm the director. And I just want to do a shout out for Dorothea and Troy. They are heroic. And I can't tell you, what we're working on is not only, equity, but prosperity, but also just basic stabilization. When I think of seeing what Troy and Dorothea have done in the last 4 weeks, is we have unhoused individuals who don't know where they're going to go, where they're going to sleep, access to food, no place for laundry, These are folks that just, you know, life is hard here in San Francisco. We're all a paycheck away. And so they're running around doing the hero work, I call it. And they come back to me and it's a lot to take on for all of us. But, you know, they don't stop until that person has a room, a roof, or food, or a chair to sleep in. And they've done that over the last 4 weeks. Why is that the situation that we're in? We've seen over 20 people like that over the last couple of months. Why are people in such a precipice when we should be in this land of milk and honey and prosperity? And it's the fact that it's not been distributed, and our experiences have not been, you know, the same. You know, I think, you know, when we talk about, there's a study, and I think it's called the ACEs, the Adult Childhood Experiences of folks. You know, we heard the headlines. So all of those affect mental health. They affect our bodies of inflammation for our heart. And so when Troy talked about stigma, when we work with each person, we look at all the aspects. We want to not just worry about their food, not just their shelter, not just their job. We want to hear about their wellness. We want to know if they're socializing. We meet a lot of people that were kicked out of their homes, frankly. So we want to understand, you know, there's this word that's thrown around in academia, agency, but, you know, you are who you know, right? If you don't have a couch to sleep on and you don't have an aunt or an uncle, you know, when I think of, and I also use the wisdom from my family. You know, my mother grew up in Bayview in the projects, and they just didn't have food. That amount of stress on a family. And I think of my father, who grew up in the Mission. They didn't have heat. They were in a garage. So when we think of the Black and brown people in our community, and then we wonder why they're not doing so well, you know, and the anger and frustration that manifests throughout the family. I think the work in the mental health services, the social services, the opportunity, the hope, with an eye on prosperity, that really changes the paradigm. I think it's quite an honor that the health department thinks of prosperity at an economic level. But since the 1850s, we knew that people's health was better if their income was better. And it's that simple. Imagine the choice. One of our stigma indexes is around food. And if you can't choose the healthy food that you prefer, that means you're going to go over another food option may not be as healthy for you, that may be canned or have more sodium or not the right portions, right?
Dollar menu.
Mm-hmm. And I've been on food stamps, so I love that dollar menu. But yeah, that's the for reals. And so in that work, how we come to the table is 2 to 4 hours of conversation. That's what Troy and Dorothea do. And that increased talk time allows us to address those needs: socks, underwear, things people aren't talking about. They tell us if they're doing sex work, things that they may not have told anyone. That trusted relationship. And we all come here also with our peer lived experience in our own way, but we use all of those life lessons and that knowledge, and then we work really together in a way to stabilize folks, but we don't let go. So I think also, as you know, the way we look at help is we work with people on their first job, second job, and third job, because the economic ladder has to go up. Otherwise, you can stall at $35,000 an hour in a security guard. That's not prosperity in San Francisco, right?
Right.
And so we have to talk about continuing education, English as a second language, those tough conversations, because some folks should not stay in minimum wage jobs because that is creating the same kind of pressures and stressors, housing stabilization issues that affect people's health, their prosperity, and it really impacts the family.
Wow. You all brought up some amazing points. I'm trying to find a way for the community to understand, because at my age, I've watched this progression, and even now, I'm looking for work myself. So I'm acutely aware of all of these needs, and I know what it feels like. And it seems like in our society, there are so many things working against the average individual. So from your positions inside it, and again, I throw this out just kind of popcorn style, do you see a real shift systematically that is going to be able to benefit a lot of people? Because it seems like there are more barriers to entry to get into being productive. And it's almost as if the system really don't want you. If you hadn't done everything perfectly right, if you hadn't followed every, and that, it seems like the system is trying to weed a lot of people out and kind of pushing them out. Do you see that shifting or changing in a real authentic and holistic way systematically?
Let me take a few minutes because that is a very important question. And I'm going to put it in terms, I'm going to start with just America in general. It is a capitalistic society where competition is how people make their wealth. And whether it's in sports or anything else, it's about making sure you're better than the next person so that you can win, so that you can be on top. And with America, it's funny because they're in certain discussions, they don't want to talk about the haves and the have-nots, because that's what it boils down to. And if you can control an individual's education, if you can control an individual's path to wealth, then you basically control your own destiny, because you can rig the game. And so health and wellness is part of that game that's rigged, because the resources are not finite based on capitalism. And so if you have to, if my job depends on whether or not you're able to take my job, which capitalism opens that door for, then I have to do everything I can from a non-humanistic point of view in order to stay where I am. And what that question is based on, the humanity in individuals and the humanity of a system that's not created to do that. Now, with that as a backdrop, in my opinion, I think with people that work within the community, we'll shift paradigm. The system is diametrically opposed to that because it wasn't created for that in the first place. Key people have to be in certain positions that can make decisions that move that paradigm or that shift. Now, do we have some people in there? Yes. Do some people get into the system and do an incredible job at making gumbo out of all this other stuff? Yes. Now, whether the system itself is shifting, I don't believe so. But I believe individuals within the system that work within that system are doing some great work to shift that. Can it change? Yes. But again, I believe it depends on who are the individuals that get in there, whether it's policy, whether it's about focus, what are their intentions once they get in there, and are they in there for humanity's sake, or are they in there for the system's sake? It reminds me of the Matrix, that question that you asked. Sometimes we get in there and we believe we're doing this great job, but we working for for this great thing, right? That got us all captured and whatnot. And so I'll stop right there because I could talk a long time about that piece and how it actually affected me, and how in education, I was a part of that system. And I'll stop there and you'll just come back to me so everybody else will have it.
Yeah. Please, because I think, Sister Ophelia, you had mentioned something about funding and needing the resources. And again, this is in a capitalistic system with the best of intentions, because y'all are front line. If they're not giving you the financial resources, y'all can't help anybody. So how do y'all deal with this? Like personally, how do y'all keep yourselves engaged, motivated, and inspired to keep doing the work when you're having to almost beg the system that really don't want to do it sometimes?
Well, it's when we talk about systemic we're talking about this giant machine with all these moving parts that don't necessarily work together or even know how to connect, right? So when we're talking about what's broken, the system is broken, and even the pieces that are part of the system are broken. But in this world, I think people have capitalized on what's broken, right? So there's so much invested in illness and sickness and despair and trauma and crime and poverty. There's so many things invested. I don't think we as a world have taken the time to imagine what it would look like with everyone well, with enough resources, that are getting the treatment that they need and are participating in the world in a way in which they feel good about, to help encourage and motivate them to be present even when times are hard. I think workplace trauma is a part of the problem. We have great efforts that are happening. There is an enormous amount of resources out there, but unfortunately, as leaders of color, we sorry. Okay, sorry about that. We are often not trusted with the resources. So then we are constantly struggling, trying. I don't know why. No, that's a call trying to interrupt what I'm saying.
We ain't gonna let it stop us. Go on, sis.
The resources, there is enormous amounts of resources, but they go to predominantly white-led institutions and organizations. And I'm not saying that those white-led organizations don't know about solutions, but I would say I agree with those closest to the problem are the ones in the best position to be a part of the solutions. And there is often that economic divide. So as long as we continue to be scavenging for the little bit of resources we are granted as agencies of color that are of color led, we're going to continue to be we're doing so much, but we won't be able to really feel the impact or even see the impact because we're not always connected and working together, sharing the resources and referral systems, which I do believe is a part of the solution, knowing one another, what we're all doing in the different spaces and places, working together to share the resources so that those participating in receiving the resources are not pulled all over the place, are receiving duplicate care that may not, be applying appropriately, right? So we're not short of great, amazing people doing tremendous work, but we are short of the people with the resources prioritizing people of color-led organizations being the ones doing the work. I would say that's a part of the systemic problem. And then the policies really are not reaching the intended participants, the intended recipients. If we could really figure out a way to have the policymakers be more connected to the solutions, we may actually see some change. So I would say it's just all these different pieces of the system not working together, staying in their autonomous lanes, right? Serving what they can, because we can only do so much. But I think there are definitely solutions. I think working together, sharing resources, communicating, having platforms like these to share those resources with the community and one another is definitely going in the right direction. I would say we do have to stay the course. You know, it may not even be in our lifetime, but we'll stand on the shoulders of those that have put forth the effort to make these transformative changes. So I do believe in being a part of the long term and seeing it for the long term, and knowing that we might not even feel or be able to take that deep breath in our lifetime, but we'll know we are a part of the solution. We know we are bending the arc in the right direction. So I just really appreciate being a part of the solution, even if we can't see how impactful the solution is. I would say another issue we have is even when we do get resources, they're constantly wasting our time, asking for enormous amounts of reports and data and things that are not necessarily critical in the moment. I love data. I think data is powerful, but I think it needs to be in service of what we're talking about. How is it going to actually make a difference? Not just for the sake of saying, okay, well, who are you serving and how many are you serving and where are you serving them at? Okay, great. That's good. But it shouldn't be so much resources directed at that when you have people who are unhoused, who are hungry, who need access to fresh groceries and not fast food, who needs access to a chair or a bed, and you know, it just really not stop misaligning what really needs to happen, because I do truly believe those are just distractions, and distractions are not a part of the solution.
I agree wholeheartedly. And again, I know for some people, because of the positions, and I don't want to put any of y'all in a position where you may have to say something that would cause any jeopardy, but I'll take the onus in saying this. I honestly just truly believe in my heart of hearts, America was designed in a way to appear to be one thing when in the reality it's totally something else. And it's almost like all of those interferences and unnecessary processes are just ways that they are keeping control on where the resources go, because like you said, there's no shortage. There's more than enough food, there's more than enough space, there's more than enough money. But what there isn't is enough will politically to actually correct the problem. Because if we just look at, say, the medical industry, there's a lot more money to be made in treating the symptoms than actually curing sicknesses and disease. So because capitalism is the way of America and everything is for sale, they would much rather turn a profit than actually take care of the people. And I think that is the fundamental issue that everybody, whether you're working for the system or trying to make a way in the system, that's the reality that we're dealing with. And America is a hypocrisy through and through. So I commend people like yourselves who are still on the front lines, willing to take whatever you can get to try to make a difference on the front lines. But how can we keep you guys encouraged? Because when you're dealing with the struggle, you're facing the hardest challenges in trying to help people. You don't need somebody micromanaging you and asking you, hey, where did you spend $5, 2 months ago? And where's the report on that? Like that's just ridiculous. You have people that need food. They need someplace to stay. They need somewhere to be warm out the elements. They don't need to wait 6 weeks to get an appointment to start that process. They need to be able to streamline it and do it more effectively. So I so wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said, sis. Brother Troy, you shaking your head. What you got?
I was going to say, I mean, many, many, many years ago, Chris Rock once said, they ain't going to never find a cure for HIV/AIDS because the money is not in the cure. The money is in the medicine. And so it's just like, Miss Sophia, it's like, it's never going to be, well, I'm not going to say never because I like to be optimistic, but the capitalism of it all is not for the well-being of humanity. It's for the pockets of those that are in a higher rank. And all I have to say is like, thank God for organizations like Dreamkeeper and the Office of Economic and Workforce Development, because it's like, at the very least, it's like a morsel of something specifically for us, you know. And as far as like the bureaucracy and all that of it, like even though that was made for us, they are like scrutinizing that particular, you know, segment more than any other thing that they're doing in the city. And it's just like, it's really embarrassing. It's, you know, it's not fair. You know, we're out here trying to give Black and brown folks equal, you know, seating at the table. And, you know, it's like, thanks for the morsel, but we're still having to even just like fight and explain and grasp and, you know, account for every single penny. You know, it's just, it's crazy. It's
Well,
just,
while they waste billions of dollars,
yeah.
and again, this is why I literally, when I see y'all, I literally see y'all as being revolutionaries, because you are fighting for the unrepresented, for the disenfranchised, for the displaced, and you're like say you're dealing with the system, and you see the hypocrisy of what's going on. I think I saw a statistic like it would only cost like $20 billion to eradicate homelessness in America. And they can't seem to find that money, but they can send $100 billion for a war to go buy weapons to kill more people across the world. And just looking at this common sense, how do we not want to find a way strategically to get whatever we can from the system, but still cultivate our own independent resources amongst ourselves? Because I say this all the time, nobody's coming to save us.
Right.
America's made it very clear they're not interested in taking care of the people. It's a corporation. They're more interested in the profit. So when you're talking about things like the inability to get access to good paying jobs, or the the cost of housing is absolutely ridiculous. And you got major corporations that are buying up homes and then, you know, putting these exorbitant rental prices on it, and people can't afford to find a place to stay. If they can't get work, they can't afford good food. And then when we try to deal with it, we're escaping through unhealthy sexual practices. Like, we're trying to find anything to try to cope with the stress of life. Do you see some examples of anything working, though, that even with all of this going on, what are some of the examples that you see that are actually working? Because again, I don't want the community to be totally discouraged. I want them to be encouraged, because you guys are doing amazing things. What are some of the examples that you see of projects that are actually benefiting and tangibly helping people move forward in this process?
Well, I mentioned Dreamkeeper before, and then I'll let Joe jump in too. But I mentioned Dreamkeeper before, and just that program alone has helped us, PRC as an organization, empower so many folks. And we've been able to, you know, somewhat reward them and encourage them and give them like inspiration to like be better and do better. And not only that, but to go out in like communities and help to inspire the next person, passing it along, which is like key for all of, like, you know, you can't just go by yourself. You have to bring everybody with you. And so I would say, like, we have like this program called Peer-to-Peer Lift Up workshop, where we teach folks with lived experience to, you know how to like case manage and know how to connect with clients and to have rapport and, you know about like homelessness and HIV/AIDS and how, you know, these different issues affect us and how we can learn from that and then also teach or go out and help the next person. And so I would attribute that to, you know, through Dreamkeeper. the program that we have at PRC for that. And so that's one thing that like is working for us. I'll shut up and let either Dorothea or Jill say something.
I'll speak about Dreamkeeper overall, at least for OEWD, what we hear. And again, I haven't proven it, but what I hear at the Workforce Investment Council is that they've seen a reduction of unemployment for Black African Americans for the first time. So that means, but what does that mean? So explicit programs where 80% of the people enrolled in those programs are Black African American or Black and brown folks. And so that means, what do we do as a system? We have to outreach. We have to spend more time with them. We have to relook at the people who came in. When I think of the time and effort of Dorothea, Troy, and the other folks, we also have a trans workforce development program. We double down. We reach out over 2 years to that person. Time equals outcome for that person, not giving up that person, giving them more options to learn and matriculate, right? There are books out there that in Berkeley that showed that the amount of time Black and brown people get to succeed in school is less than other students. And that has to do with the hope of the student, but also the hope of the administrator. And that really informs me to say, what part of that process is to not go to this bootstrap mentality. It is to continue to rekindle that hope in that person, and for us to rekindle it in us, because the time and effort to create change in a person, it's not an average. It's just not an average. And I think we have to look at what does it take to create the impact to a human? And when we start changing that, and when we look at poverty, that maybe we got it wrong. These averages in this capitalistic society wants everything to be the same shape. But when we're getting to the next 20% of change and impact to community, that means you've got to change. If that average worked for that community, it would have worked. And it doesn't. So it needs more resources, not less. And so that got kind of, Human Rights Commission of San Francisco got it right, is they really looked at it. They really targeted programs that really create deeper impact in community. And I'm looking more for that in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ms. Dorothea?
I agree with Troy and Joe just mentioned. I was about to say that about the Lift Up program. The Lift Up program is a good program. I see some of my clients love it there. After they complete a 4 weeks class, like at the beginning, they're like, they don't feel too good about themselves, but they will share things about you at the beginning. Then at the end, after the 4 weeks, I'd be very surprised. I see a lot of change, a lot of transition. They changed a whole different person. They're like, oh, thank you for, I learned so much about this program. I think they learned so much about themselves, and they feel like they're not alone when they hear other people in the classroom share about their stories, learning about the topic. I think that's impact them personally. They feel good about them, self-esteem, and when they come out of there, they be a different person. They're ready for work. I see them a whole totally different person. So I think, my opinion, is good to have more program like Dream Work that Troy mentioned and Joe, and also Lift Up. I think it make them open their mind up to a part of understanding what's going on in the world, and then and also they learn more about themselves, because I have a lot of them come in who have different issues, mental health to sexual abuse to whatever situations they have, but they put that into the classroom and share their experience, and and they open up more. It's kind of like counseling a little bit to me, but I see the whole difference from the beginning to the end. So I think that really helps to help them grow, and then they start looking into themselves and what they want to do with their life, especially when it comes to work. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Brother Dre, looked like you were about to jump in. You had something you wanted to share.
I just wanted to just how this is all connected to wellness. You know, I mean, this is all of this are puzzles, pieces to this puzzle that go into making a whole individual that then affects their sphere of influence, their families, their love, their love relationships, their friendships, their places on their jobs. All of this work in concert. And so if when we look at how do we make an impact, it has to be done in a holistic perspective and from a holistic methodology. And I think everybody has spoken beautifully to whether it's really about that mental health component and stability to deal with that trauma and the issues that people have buried over years, to those basic necessity needs and understanding, to having a place to live, to just being able to have resources to eat properly. All of those things play into a part. And when those things are out of whack, there's no way for a person to look at other key things going on with them or even to get those things checked out because they're busy just surviving for that moment and running on that hamster reel where that hamster get in there and just run. So we want to be able to, and I see evidence that there is a shift that's not necessarily from the, I'm going to say the system has its, there's even a broken clock is right twice a day. Okay. So there are opportunities for individuals to have more of an impact beyond the system or whatnot. And so when there are initiatives and there are ways such as with Dream Keepers or even with DPH creating the space for the health access point, it's what we are going to do with those things when they're put into our hands and making sure that we are the best stewards that we can be for the community. And there are a lot of good stewards that are out there in the community working with the community to do these things. And so when we want to look for that silver lining, all we have to do is look in the mirror. Because I think you said it, and I think everybody said it in their own way, but this is something that we ourselves are going to have to dig ourselves out of. And that will take a lot of hard work, but it's good work. And when other people, they may not be inspired to do the work, but they will be inspired to live differently. And that's the impact that we really want to come to. What choices do I want to make or that are available to me? What supports, what information, what resources can I use so that I can go from point A to point B? And if that is the most impact that we have, then we've done a heck of a job at that, to get an individual to go from point A to point B and to come to that conclusion and come to that term and to how to use those things that are out there. And one of the things that's good about working with other partners is that everybody have a piece and everybody have something that the other person does not have or the other organization does not have, and they can be brought to the table. So I appreciate being a part of a collaborative or just being in this fight, because I know that other people are fighting alongside.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking about other people fighting alongside, and I want to ask Sister Ophelia, because Heart and Soul is just one of those things that just kind of grabs you. But if you were speaking to families in the community, Black and brown families, and they're trying to navigate the system, what advice would you give them on how to find better access to the different mental health and other services that could help nurture and foster them? Like what would you tell the average person who's kind of in that survival mode mentality? How would you address them and encourage them to, and where to navigate and find access to these resources?
I won't say it's easy, because it's not. Unfortunately, when you're in crisis, and I deal with things personally, I'm impacted by a variety of situations, whether it's family members currently using substances, whether it's family members struggling with their mental health but in denial about needing support, or individuals who are struggling with their mental health and not able to stay in a stable place for various reasons, right? So I have personal relationships with people who need a lot of support, and I don't even often know what to tell them about where to go. And so when it comes to accessing our organization and our resources, we're currently looking to expand, but right now we are housed in clinics and we have a drop-in center. So the challenge when you are serving at clinics, you have to work within that clinic and the population that is served by that clinic. A drop-in space, you know, it can be open and available, but we are individuals with lived experiences as well. So we are simultaneously managing our own mental health and wellness, at the same time serving our peers who may be having challenges with mental health and wellness. And it is not wellness sitting in an office for 8 to 10 and 12 hours waiting on somebody to access your resources, right? You want to be in the community where people are in need of services and support. So it's very difficult to say, okay, well, where can you go drop in and just get some help? So we do offer, we let people know about crises lines. I think those are very beneficial to start. You know, virtual groups, we offer virtual groups, and a lot of mental health spaces offer virtual groups if you have access to technology and can get online to talk to someone. Often, you know, when we are open, we do encourage people to come access our space, get the support they need, even if it's just some hot coffee, some food, have a place to sit down, look at the TV, watch a movie. Because like someone said, it is also about having that social system of support and interaction with your peers who are not judging you, who you don't feel ashamed to just be yourself around and be in a place where you're not okay. So I would say for families, my biggest thing is stick together. Look for resources that support the whole family, because often you'll find places they support this particular age group or they support this particular area of need, when we're multifaceted and complicated, right? We may not often just have just one thing we need treated, and we may not have access to childcare, so we can't depart from our child we're responsible for when we need to go get access to services. So it's really important that the wraparound systems of support, the holistic approach, really meeting people where they're at and letting them come as they are, and then helping them to navigate what resources are out there is really important. And having a directory of what resources do exist for different types of need, you know, if it's housing, or if it's food crisis, or if it's access to just some fun and some support and some connection. So I do think it's important. Partnership is very important, knowing what's out there, knowing what's accessible at all times of the night. You know, when we're talking about youth in particular, the crisis can happen at any point in the night, you know, at any point in the day. It can be relative to school, or it could be relative to a community issue. So just really promoting online, on the phone, definitely any drop-in spaces that can be a source of navigation. And yeah, just telling people stick together, stay together. And unfortunately, we have to be patient. As much as we would want things treated right away, I've learned that it just doesn't happen right away. You know, it does take time to figure out what resources are out there that may truly match your family need.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is probably the biggest challenge for anybody in that situation, because when your back is against the wall, the last thing you want to hear is be patient, but it's the reality. And until we can, as a community, begin to have those emergency protocols in place to where people are equipped and empowered, because again, I know most people deep down don't want to have to be dependent on someone else or a system for sustainability. So helping them get equipped and empowered to move themselves from a place of need to a place of sustainability is the overall ultimate desire and goal. And with that being said, I know we could take this conversation from many angles and talk about this all evening. But as we kind of wrap up, I want to give everybody kind of an opportunity to give some words of encouragement to the community, maybe some insights, you know, specifically that you may have that you think would be of value. And again, this is for the community. And so you're talking to somebody right now who may watch this broadcast and tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. We want to be able to give them something that would be encouraging and informative. So I'll start up at the top with you, Brother Andre. What would you have for the community in your parting and closing words here?
Thank you very much. And once again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thank everybody for being part of this panel. I am walking away with so much today. So thank you very much. There's two things. One, help, the Umoja health access point, which and it's so funny because through this conversation, we actually talked about what it is, because what we want to do is address all of those needs, at the same time address a specific need, which is our sexual health and our harm reduction. And harm reduction can mean a lot of different things. It could be about managing that substance issues. It could be managing suicidal thoughts. It could be managing just unhealthy relationships. What we want to do is try to make sure that individuals have a connection with a way to increase their chances of being healthy and being in a place where they can manage their wellness, versus doing things that will increase the chances of them not having a healthy outcome. But we will be having our health access point, a second pop-up that we are doing from 12 to 3 at 131 Franklin Street in San Francisco. And basically it's about free sexual health screenings, free overall health screenings, other kinds of services and testings. If there's some vaccinations that folks want to have, we will be out there doing that as well as providing healthy food, grocery boxes to the community, and a number of other services. But what we want to do is make sure, again, people get connected with different systems and different organizations and services to assist. My parting words outside of that is that, which everybody have said again in their own way, that one, we have to look out for each other. We have to look out for each other. And two, that we have to be real with ourselves and stop and understand that if we're not okay, people around us are not going to be okay. And that can mean a very variety of things. If I'm not okay with the trauma that I'm carrying with me, I'm going to affect and more than likely impose some kind of trauma on my family at home. If I am not housed correctly, then I am not going to be able to really concentrate on getting my skills together so I can get a job. So we have to take a look at and see those things that we need assistance with, and to Ophelia's sister Ophelia's point, that it will not happen in a day. It don't take a day for us to get into some of these spaces. So it's not going to take a day for us to get out of these spaces. We have to trust the process of the organizations that we're interfacing with to assist us, because that's what they're there for. And I will also say, for me and any other service provider, that was also stated here, that we don't know when that light switch is going to come on. So we have to always be in a position to be ready for when they are ready. And that can be sometimes frustrating for us as well, when we're like, we can do this, and we can see it in them, but they are just not ready. So we ourselves have to be patient, and then the folks that we are serving have to be patient and know that there's a process, and that we are the superheroes for our community. We are going to save our community. And I appreciate everybody for being that person, and every individual is a superhero for themselves, because ultimately it's what you choose to do with the resources, the information, and the support that folks offer up to you. And that I think it was Troy who said this, it's always better to be 6 feet above than 6 feet below.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, Brother Troy, parting words for the community.
Yeah, I just want to say that, it's very difficult to try to stay in a positive frame of mind when you turn on the television and you see these states trying to erase history and change the narrative, and removing stuff from history books, and not being able to talk and teach about things that happen to us, and making it unimportant. And I just want to let everybody know that your history is important, your family is important, your legacy is important, you are important. Know that, even that sometimes it feels like, nobody's on your side. Know that there are people, like all of the people on this panel. We are out here fighting for you. We just need you to hang in there and continue to fight for yourselves and fight for your family. And just know that you have no shame in talking about your sexual health, have no shame in talking about your mental health, have no shame in talking about your spiritual and emotional well-being. And you matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Troy. Sister Dorothea, parting words for the community.
I will have words for the community is that just don't give up. Just keep believing in yourself. I know it could be hard challenge on the roads. Just remember that you're not alone. You have someone out there that you can talk to going through your mental health. You're not the only one. Just remember that. Don't feel like you're alone. You're not alone. You have someone else you can go to. Like my grandmother always say, is one door is open, one door is closed, but you have something out there, somebody care for you, and we here to fight for you. Just think positive. Just going through health. Whenever you're ready to go, you can go. That's my part.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brother Joe, parting words.
My favorite thing I use with people is happenstance. To do that one thing that you would not normally do can change the equation. We're in San Francisco. You can rub elbows with a lot of people. There's if you Google Fun Cheap SF, the most important thing is to rub elbows with people who have equity, where you change your experience, you change how you travel in town, where you see opportunity, you see one-for-one signs, you can run into people and have different conversations. It's the hardest thing to do. As a shy person, I learned it to take my body there and the mind will follow. But if you don't change the equation will not always change for you. And so that's sometimes that chance, that kismet, whatever you want to call it, can change and offer opportunity in ways that we can't predict. So it's not always sitting behind a screen applying online. So change your happenstance because at least you're doing something you can physically do.
I like that. I like that because that does put the power in their hand. You can actually make a change. It might not be the final change, but just that change of happenstance. I like that a lot. Well, Sister Ophelia, parting words for the community.
Yes, I want to say reach out. I'm born and raised in San Francisco, and I've been doing justice work and advocacy work for decades, and I'll be doing this work for decades more. So I know as an individual, I'm committed, and there are many organizations out there that are positioning themselves to be of service. Reach out, hold us accountable, get what you need, advocate for yourself, be your best advocate, and advocate for your peers and your loved ones. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need and what you want. That's okay too. And it's so important that the individuals who are in the movement work, who are in this wellness movement, also take care of themselves. It is ineffective if you are sacrificing yourself while promoting wellness for others. You have to take care of yourself. And it is not selfish, it is self-care. It is okay. So I just want to say, as a community, hold one another accountable to taking care of ourselves. Create spaces that are healing, that people want to be at, and I am committed to always creating a workplace where people want to love to come to work. So if you need support from Heart and Soul, email us. Email I need support at heartandsoulinc.org. You can call our phones. Check out our website, heartandsoulinc.org. Come to a drop-in service. Just show up. Everything is available online. Reach out and we will direct you to whatever we can. And if we don't have the answer, we will be an ear for as long as you need until we together find the answer. Thank you, everybody. I've taken so much from this conversation today.
Truly, truly, on behalf of the Bishop, John Henry, the entire both sides of the conversation, staff and team, I want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for being panelists today. There's no doubt the information that all of you have shared has been encouraging and helpful to many in the community. And you truly are frontline heroes. I look at each and every one of you for the work you're doing as heroes in the community, because I know serving people is not easy. And when you're having to work with a system that doesn't always have the best interest or the smoothest processes for getting things done, it can be taxing on you doing the work to help other people. So I want to continue to encourage you, lift you up and bless you. And just know that anytime you want to come back and share anything, you guys are always welcome and considered as part of the family here at both sides of the conversation. Thank you all for being such amazing panelists.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. It was
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Brother Mark. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Held it down.
Gladly, gladly. Well, y'all have a fantastic evening. Thank you all.
Take care.
Day.
Well, community, there you have it. Another conversation on Sunday that was impactful. And again, we're going to have more conversations next Sunday where we're going to be talking about how to deal with stresses. And as you can see, this conversation is one that needs to continue to happen because your health is your greatest wealth. I know a lot of times in America, everything is about the money. It's about materialism. But at the end of the day, if we are not able to take care of ourselves, we won't be able to take care of anything or anyone that we care about. So with that, I just want to close out tonight's Sunday conversation with some words of encouragement. And also, I want to invite you to check in on us. We want to hear from you. Let us know how we're doing, what topics that we can include in other shows, because again, we want to make sure that we are serving you, the community. You can go take the survey at surveymonkey.com at BSOTC podcast. Again, let us know how we're doing so that we can improve how we support, how we encourage, and how we bring information to the community. So for everybody viewing, thank you again. And on behalf of the Bishop John Henry, take care of yourselves. And we love you, community. Have a blessed night.